well. Women's Kabaddi introduced at the Asian Games since 2010. We had a gold in 10, gold in 2014, and a silver in 2018. And 4 members of the squad remain for the women. Our Indian coaches, Edacheri Bhaskaran, he's won titles when it comes to the league in India, and alongside him Sanjeev Balyan, a legend in his own right. And for Japan, Nita Terukazu, the coach. First raid underway. It is Japan to raid first, which means India will raid first in the second half, and we'll explain why that is crucial. Sunil Kumar, the vice captain of India. It's one of his first outings so far, and he starts with a brilliant block.
That was a nothing raid really from Itsuki Manita, and he's been the one who's been caught out, and that's the end of that. Now, meanwhile, India with the first raid, and they will get another point. Touch out on Hayuma Kuroshima. He'll have to go out.
Aslam Inamdar, nice to see him get responsibilities early. You've got a very different lineup for India in terms of the raiding trio. You've got Sachin Tawar, Akash Shinde and Aslam Inamdar to start. And there you go, first points on the board for Japan. And it comes through Hiroto Chiba. Nice moment for them.
So what really wondered was just a half-hearted single leg hold attempted by Nitish Kumar on that the ankle hold that he went for, and that was that.
Yeah, you'll see Nitesh do that. You'll see him going for individual glory as well. And I guess for India, this is an opportunity to go out and express themselves, enjoy themselves. Just coming to the raiding trio, no Arjun Deswal in the starting 7, no Pawan Sarawat, and no Naveen Kumar. They've got the youngsters in the mix, and that's nice to see. Sachin Tawar, Akash Shinde, he's coming to this squad. This man here, the big man, in place of Mohit Goyat. To me, that was the only slight disappointment. Not that Akash doesn't deserve it, but I thought Mohit Goyat should have stayed in the Asian Games squad because he certainly deserved it. And he's got rid of a very popular man in India. He's got Shimokawa. Now, Raman, for you, Shimo has been a part of the league in India for a long time.
And I've heard stories about how he responds to a lot of messages and tweets in Hindi. He's pretty much picked up the language as well.
He has. He's
Should I say Haryanvi?
Yeah, exactly. Actually, he had 2 best friends when he was at U Mumbai, and that was Mohit Chiller and Surinder Nada. They used to pick him up, toss him around pretty much. Very popular character. And he's well loved in the Kabaddi community as well.
What's happening here is raid from Aslam Inamdar.
I'm not sure what Gario Kono, the captain, is doing there, number 1. Almost did everything in his might to try and get tagged. And then Aslam heads back with a point.
Interesting part of conversations. We'll come to that in a moment. Currently, the women's semi-final is on in hockey. India taking on China. You can catch Hindi commentary on Sony Sports 10.3, and of course there is English coverage available on Sony Sports 10.4 and Sony Sports 10.5.
You asked why Nitish Kumar did what he did previously. Here's your answer. Does it second time around, he says, Raman, you asked me why, I gave you a proper ankle hold this time.
Yeah, he got a proper ankle hold and got it deep in the court, which is why he was able to effect that point. And meanwhile, Japan running the risk here of being all out pretty quickly within the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, this is stunning stuff. Within the first 3.5 minutes almost. Here comes the captain, Gario Kono.
I give them the benefit of doubt for another minute and a half.
You're a generous man, Raman. You're a generous man. I don't think they'll be that generous with this tackle coming in. Now, the bonus is allowed because they don't mind the freebie, but not sure what he's doing here because he's down to the last 8 seconds. And if you waste time here, you're gone. There you go. See you later. Nitin Rawal, Nitish Kumar. That is a sandwich tackle.
And very kindly done to the Japanese captain. No real heavy takedowns there. Gario Kono's told, okay, there you go. Job done. Please, can we escort you off the court?
And with it, the first all-out inside the first 4 minutes for the men in blue for Team India. This should be one of the easier outings for India. Unfortunately, as I said earlier, Japanese Kabaddi is slid downwards, while the likes of Chinese Taipei, Kenya, Poland, many of those countries are rising. Sad to see Japan drop off the face a little bit. Shimokawa, partly one of those guys who's been around long enough. But this is going to be a proper drubbing.
It's interesting you raised that point earlier, Sohail, about none of the players from that team 2018 that failed to get that elusive 8th gold for India in Kabaddi, surviving the cull coming into this edition of the Asian Games. But there is a survivor from the 2014 edition, and that's the seasoned campaigner Surjit, the 33-year-old. He's on the subs bench. He was a part of that team that won gold back in 2014 at the Asian Games at Incheon.
Yeah, and Surjit actually is one of those funny ones because India at the moment as well, we're struggling for right covers and left covers. Sunil Kumar at the moment is a tremendous right cover. Surjit as well. I think Surinder Singh, he is the other one that again instantly stands out. The captain of the Mumbai franchise in the Kabaddi League. But apart from them, you look around and there's not that much depth in the cover region. And that's why Surjit again was preferred. Meanwhile, a bonus +1 and almost like a sheepish smile for Sachin Tawar. It was that easy.
He said, what's the big deal? And there you go. A little hop, skip and jump and I get across the midline. I'm all done.
And just on that point that you brought up, Raman, I actually think it's the right move for India because you've got to go form over reputation. And actually we're seeing that in the league as well. Young players coming through and the older players, the more famed ones, the likes of Rahul Chaudhary and Deepak Hooda and the rest, they're actually being replaced by young guns who are doing a great job. And I like that. I'm someone that, as I'm trying to build a squad around you, Mumbai as well, trying to build a squad around youngsters, look to the future. You might call it Moneyball, you might call it what you like, but it's youngsters that deserve an opportunity and keep the older ones that are good enough, like Surjit.
The raid, meanwhile, from Japan haven't had much to show for all their efforts. Just 3 points in the first 6 odd minutes of this first half. Has he got a touch? Yes, he has. Quick point taken on that raid. By Itsui Manita. And again, you talk about the youngsters, Sohail, and they've been brought into the getting the opportunities here. Just a quick thought on Pardeep Narwal and your thoughts on what's happened there.
Yeah, I think Pardeep is a curious case. When he wants to switch on, he's phenomenal to watch. But again, it's about the fitness levels through the year as well. I think that's something a lot of the players struggle with because you've got 2.5 months of the league as we see the captain captured yet again for Japan. And you've got the league that goes on for 2.5 months, Raman, but beyond that, there wasn't much kabaddi played and there isn't much kabaddi played by the seniors. So they don't stay within sort of the fitness bounds, whereas the youngsters go out and play the Yuva Kabaddi series that happens through the rest of the 10 months. And suddenly, you've got the opportunity to stay match ready, match fit like this man, Akash Shinde. What a raid, a 2-point raid. One man just dumped off court instantly. That is Yutan Kawate. Not sure why, he just ran away. And after that, the second scalp, Hiroto Chiba.
That was suicidal from Hiroto Chiba. And look at that, Japan now running the risk of being all out again for the second time within 7.5 minutes of the first half.
If we go by this concept of 1 every 4 minutes, we're going to get 5 all outs in the first half. There it is, dump tackle, and the second all out of the first half, of the first 8 minutes, we should say.
I'm just wondering what's the record for maximum points gotten in the first half. I'm just trying to look back. Let me get the stat on this.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough job. We're putting our stat men through some solid work. Yeah, good evasion there. And that is a good tackle. Very, very positive. On the right corner, Hayuma Kurashima. And then from the left cover region, the tackle coming in as well. That is the first real point of conviction from that defense. See you later. Sorry, Shimo, not going anywhere.
Yes, the favor returned and very quickly. But coming back to the tackle that Japan did just a little while ago, but we'll come to that in a moment. Remember, there's the men's hockey final tomorrow as well. India versus Japan. Japan, remember, gold medalist in 2018, but India had played Japan and beaten Japan 4-2 during the group stages of their campaign in this edition.
Yeah, also, you go back to Chennai at the Champions Trophy, and India 1-1 versus Japan there. Then a 5-0 drubbing. So I think India, the firm favourites going in versus Japan. Hopefully, a gold and qualification to the Olympics for our Indian hockey team.
Yes, absolutely. That's what we were hoping for. Going back to that match against Japan that they played in the group stages, you felt that they were in full control of that match and they just eased off towards the final 5 minutes of that match. 55 belonged to India.
Yeah.
Those last 5 minutes is when Japan pulled back a couple of goals when India took the foot off the accelerator.
Yeah, and I don't think we're going to see that here. I think India will keep their foot on the gas with the Kabaddi. No dangers whatsoever. Nice to see Akash Shinde in India colours. And that's the beauty of the Asian Games, Raman. These guys don't get an opportunity to play for India too often. You had the World Cup back in 2016. You had the Kabaddi Masters in 2018. We're not certain of when that next World Cup is going to be for Kabaddi. And so to be at the Asian Games together in unison, it means so much to the players to get that opportunity to rub shoulders with some of the best athletes. I was talking to a few of the players and they were sending pictures across of them with Neeraj Chopra and them with the badminton stars, Ashwini Ponnappa and Pawan Sarawat. Pawan saying he was really excited to meet her. So it's really nice to see them able to get that opportunity and spend time in an athlete's village.
Yeah, absolutely. And we were just talking about it, apart from Surjit, for a lot of other young players in this Kabaddi side, especially the men's team, it's their first Asian Games. So for them, it's an experience to be at a multidiscipline event like this.
And listen to the crowd as well. Every time you see a moment of athleticism, which you get plenty of with Kabaddi, there are so many new fans that are drawn into the sport. You know, it's funny, a few years ago, oh, we'll come to that in a second, because again, literally hoisting the Raider, Hiroto Chiba, and that's the famed combination of Sunil and Parvesh.
Just keep an eye out on Sunil. He says, okay, do you need some help, Parvesh? Here you go. We'll carry him off court, no worries.
You know, and that's the combination to watch, Raman. Sunil Parvesh, the best cover combination for seasons on end, and there's more athleticism. And that's what I was just talking about. For crowds around the world, you're going to see athleticism when it comes to this 40 minutes of action-packed, high-octane entertainment. And speaking of action-packed, live from 2:30 p.m., you will have Saurav Ghoshal looking for yet another gold at the Asian Games. He has played since 2002 at the Asian Games, and he's given India medals every time since 2006.
Absolutely, Sohail. What, 8 medals and counting? Looking for number 9.
That's crazy. Longevity at its best, 37 years of age. He is the poster boy of Indian squash, and I think alongside Joshna Chinnappa, the poster girl of Indian squash as well. Having said that, Deepika Pallikal just delivering a gold in the mixed doubles. Another good point, an easy one for Akash Shinde, and the turn and tumble into the midline.
He exaggerated that entire move, didn't he? Knew he had the point, knew there was nothing coming, but all right, fair enough. That's one for the photographers. But it is a very, very spectator-friendly sport, is Kabaddi, which is why you've seen youngsters take to it. People watch it with such enthusiasm.
And also very easy to understand. You go in there, you get a touch, you get 1 point. There's a bonus line, there's a balk line. That's the all-out, a simple touch, and 2 for the all-out. After an all-out comes the all-in. So all 7 come back on, as you're seeing now for Japan. 3rd all-out already. And guess what? This took 5 minutes, not 4. So well done, Japan. A little better on that occasion. But you know, it's funny, Raman, we were just saying how spectacular this game is. When you turn up at stadiums now that host Kabaddi, I always say there's a very funny and lovely, beautiful methodology. You see the grandparents' generation who grew up playing Kabaddi. You now see the kids who find Kabaddi cool again, and with the league and everything else that's brought the razzmatazz back. And then I find that the middle generation are the kebab mein haddis. You've got the older generation and the younger generation watching, so they're like, you know what, why not? And then it becomes a full-blown family affair, and it's amazing to see that in Kabaddi stadiums.
But that middle generation's actually seen the transition, Sohail.
Exactly.
You know, the fact that they've seen the traditional format being played out, they've seen this transition to the mat, they've seen the transition to the colorful mat, to the change in rules that has made it so very television friendly as well. Point taken. Aslam on the raid here for India. Aslam Inamdar.
It's a sport that has captured the imagination of our nation and the world. I'm just saying earlier, you know, I had messages, I remember a couple of years ago, from a group of 14 people that every day would head to a pub in Switzerland and watch the highlights of Kabaddi every evening. And they had no idea what was going on, but they absolutely loved it. And by day 5, by day 7, they figured the game out. And every day, without fail, they would get in there, watch the game together, and they started tweeting about it and got in touch with a few of us, and it was quite amazing. And that's how the game has been growing around the world as well, because once you watch a game in a stadium or an entire game on TV, you start to understand how you fall in love with it so quickly.
I was just waiting to hear the next part of the story now. I was just expecting this to happen and you to tell me that, you know what, the next thing, is they formed a club and they've got a team going.
That'll be the next step, I think. But funnily enough, they sent a team across from Germany to come understand how to play, and it was really fun to watch, actually, because we did a bit of filming, a feature around it, and they took that back. It really, piques the interest of a lot of people around the world. Poland has an incredible side. Kenya emerging as a new powerhouse in the sport as well. And you think about it, those are naturally athletic countries. So it's only a matter of time before more and more countries adapt to an easy sport to follow, given that we might see it in the Olympics over the next decade or so.
Which is going to be a fantastic step forward. The continental games to the world stage, really, so to speak. Meanwhile, right from Sachin. Takes the touch on the left corner. Has he got that? No, not really. Just kind of got in air, but can he get back? No. Tries to use the lobby and there's a quick takedown.
Tetsuro Abe, one of the key men in that tackle. And these are some positive signs for Japan. Firstly, get to double digits. That's task number 1. Shimokawa has been taken out of the game, and in comes Masaki Hatakeyama. So off goes Shimo. Honestly, as sweet as he is and as lovely as he is, he's not very effective on a kabaddi court. So I feel for Shimokawa. He's an entertainer, but not very effective. Oh, looking for the bonus. Why not? Kurashima. I don't think he's got it, though. You need to be tall to pick up a bonus, and he's not really got the height advantage. Slots back into that right corner. Maybe just a little bit of damage to the court. You've got archery coming your way as well. The compound men's team final. What an event that promises to be. India versus a powerhouse of archery, the Republic of Korea.
Starts right now, and it's available on Sony Sports 10-1, the coverage, and also on the Sony Live app. Keep an eye out for the Indian team of Ojas, Deotale, Abhishek Verma, and Prathamesh Javakar. They go up against the Korean team. Can the men's team do what the women's team did earlier when they got the better of Chinese Taipei to clinch gold?
I would like to say yes, because they've been that good. The boys, Praveen Ojas, Deotale, Abhishek, when you shoot perfect 10s back to back to back to back, it's quite impressive as well. And I think overall, it makes for a fantastic trio. Looking for a bonus. Aslam Inamdar, and he wants a bonus +1. He gets just a 1 touch point, no bonus given to Aslam on that occasion. I want to see something special. We watched the match earlier this morning, Ravan, versus Chinese Taipei, and there were great moments. Chinese Taipei getting an all-out versus India was, for me, one of the highlights of the Asian Games. We saw a super raid, a super tackle, and an all-out for Chinese Taipei, and that shows you growth. I would just like to see something like that, something special from Japan.
Just a quick reminder to all of viewers. Remember when the women's team, the Indian women's team, opened their campaign at the Asian Games, it was against Chinese Taipei, and Chinese Taipei went on to tie that match at 34 points each. So there is something that's happening on the kabaddi front when you look at Chinese Taipei, the kind of performances, especially that we saw from the women's team.
And I think I want to see more kabaddi franchises, therefore, pull players in from Chinese Taipei as a reward. Just let them spend time with the squads, even if they never get onto court in the league. They learn a lot, just like Tin Fonchu from Thailand has, takes that learning back, just like a Shimokawa. Sadly, not too many learnings have been added to the Japanese squad, however. And I just think that's the only way to grow the game. You've got to have coaches move across from India to these nations, but have players spend time with better quality players. That's how they'll develop. Under 3 minutes to go in this first half. Remember, the men's kabaddi, 20 minutes per half. Women's 15 minutes here at the Asian Games.
Slightly bigger competitive area as well.
Yeah, and I think they'll be tested only in the final. And I think we're setting up for that dream finale, India versus Iran. Already, that means India will go one better than they did in 2018, where they had a bronze because they actually faced Iran in the semi. And we'll avoid that, I think, this time around. See you later. Nitin Rawal, Sachin Tawar, and almost sort of sheepish smiles. But guess what? As we head into a do-or-die raid, China have scored first versus India in the women's semi-final. India unbeaten versus China in the last 10 encounters. But that is going to be a tough encounter. We expected it as well. Not so tough here, though.
Absolutely, one-way traffic. That's why we've had time to talk about so much more. So than just what's happening, because you knew this would be a foregone conclusion. Japan haven't had a single win under their belt in the group, and that group comprises Chinese Taipei, Bangladesh, and Thailand. If you haven't beaten any one of those sides, you really don't stand much of a chance against this behemoth of India, this team that's out there.
And India could really field 3 teams here at the Asian Games and be super competitive, or even 4, to be honest, or more. But, that's where I'd like to see the emergence, and I think the growth has to be where we see more Kabaddi through the year. I've been trying to work towards that personally as well. Put a lot of time behind this sport. It's funny, cricket for me, I guess, was my first love, but Kabaddi's become life in many ways, but it's has to happen. The evolution has to be bilateral series, more clubs, franchises going around the world and plying their trade, more awareness for the sport in newer markets. So hopefully we'll get there. And moments like this give us time to talk about it as well, Raman. When you have a drubbing like this, oh, Sunil Kumar, naughty, and takes advantage of it. Yuma Kurashima.
There's really no need. And that's why he realized that he committed himself a little too quickly. Just wanted to steal that tackle. Didn't really get into position. No one followed him up as well.
And these might be careless errors here, but you've also got to be careful while you switch off versus a team like Japan. You can't afford that when you suddenly have to switch on versus Iran. And that's going to be the big test, not just for India, but for Iran as well. How to suddenly switch on for the big occasion. For now, switching on our team India. They're comfortably ahead at the end of this first half. It has been relentless from the Indian Raiders and the defenders. And so far, it is a sizable lead. 35-11 at halftime.
As real as it gets.
Total domination in the first half by India against Japan, 35-9. Well, it's just a matter of time in terms of how things would go. 6 all-outs in the first half itself for India. That just tells you. They had the first one in about 4 minutes and then kind of picked up the pace from there on.
Yeah, I'd like to get our stats guys on that actually. 6 all-outs in the first 20 is almost unheard of at times. That is the quality of this Indian opposition. They have been moments where Japan have come into their own, and that's been good to see. Superstars of the game. India ahead in the first half. We'll come back for the second.
बस नीरज रुक जा आज के इतना काफी है जी जब पसीना नहीं रुकता तो मैं क्यों रुकूं
Newland Cosmos with real lemons, glucose, electrolytes, and no gas. Time for faster rehydration. number one makers of SUVs.
जब बात हो देश की मिट्टी की, ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं जो हमें अलग करे। और इसी जज्बे के साथ कजारिया देश की मिट्टी से बनी टाइल से देश को बनाते हैं।
One-way traffic in this Pool A match. Remember, India taking on Japan in what will be their last outing in the group stages for India. They're unbeaten. Japan haven't got a single win under their belt. But meanwhile, we'll be tracking what's happening in Kabaddi. Keep an eye out on that compound men's team gold medal match that's on. It's on Sony Sports 10-1 and on the Sony Live app as well. But India, they're up against Korea in what will be a tough matchup.
Very, very tight. A 10 there for Korea. It's all about how India can come back at them. India have been exceptional. 2 10s back to back for Korea in the archery. Back to the kabaddi. It's been plenty of 10s, you could call it, from our Indian raiders and defenders. It's been a perfect score in some sense. But biggest test for India coming from Japan. Nice to see a few familiar faces in that Japanese contingent, though, the likes of Tetsuro Abe. You've got Masayuki Shimokawa, very popular figure. But sadly, not too much bite to the Japanese attack.
What brings me to another point, Sohail, is that would India now, in the second half, talked about bigger challenges ahead, do you want to get some of your A players back on to the get them back, give them about 10 minutes of game time, not just completely rest them for the entire match, get them on for at least 10 minutes?
Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, you might as well give them an outing. Having said that, though, India did play versus Chinese Taipei earlier today, so maybe they're going, well, you know what, we've done our job, we'll sit back and actually train really hard and maybe play a practice game within each other in the squad and do skills, particular skills. You'll see Raiders being pulled off separately by maybe Sanjeev Balyan. The defenders might be working with Bhaskar and Edicheri, and maybe those drills are even more important to the players than this encounter. And that's not to disrespect what Japan are doing on court, but obviously the level that the Indian players might be at within each other and in that playing group, skills in Kabaddi are very, very important. You see in a team environment, even within a single day, Raman, the way they split training sessions on skills, fitness and match play, it's quite amazing to see how different coaches do that as well.
Meanwhile, an empty raid there from Nitin Rawal, something that we haven't seen too often during the course of this match.
And almost a tackle, he looked for the ankle hold and wasn't convinced and actually didn't tag the raider on that occasion, so gets away with it, Nitin Rawal. Got Nitesh Kumar there, but they don't have a backup. In every other position, you see a firm backup, but I just think that is the only risk versus Iran. If your right corner goes off onto the bench, Pawan Sarawat has been playing the right corner, and if you've got him manning it, you're putting at risk your best raider, your captain, in that position. So that to me is the only blip. I would have liked to see 2 good right corners head across in this squad.
It's amazing how the ecosystem seems to have developed over the last few years, especially. So the fact that, you're talking about a completely new look Indian side that's come here at the Asian Games, barring Surjit, of course, who's had prior experience. Now this could be a takedown.
Well done to this Japanese defense. It took a lot of men to keep Akash Shinde down. But Yutan Kawate, one of the men involved from that left corner, comes in, number 7. Then lots of help coming in from all fronts. Kurashima involved too. That's a positive. And guess what? Japan in double figures, now 12 points to them. Ooh, close to the lobby. He's got to be careful here. Masaki, a substitute.
Well, he's going to get tackled quite easily. He came on, remember, in place of Shimokawa, did Masaki.
He looked busier with the footwork, but unfortunately it tells you that this sport isn't about looking busy. It's just about having a targeted approach, knowing what you're doing, and staying fleet-footed. He had one eye on the left corner, And when he turned his back around and turned his attention over to the right corner, he got swallowed. Oh, rare empty raid for Aslam Inamdar. Now, this is what actually I want to see less of, because 1 versus 4 is a very tricky situation. But if you don't take those risks versus Japan, it's almost a perfect opportunity. When do you take them then? It's a prime opportunity to go out, test yourself, earn a bigger test to come versus the likes of Iran. And a bonus picked up.
This was a good raid from Itsuki. Points the difference between these two. 36-13. A quick little touch there from Sachin on that raid.
Yeah, you were asking about sort of the ecosystem and the depth of talent. Again, as I said, I think it's really good to see state federations doing a lot more. Like I said, we've had the opportunity of trying to make an impact in the sport from a junior level, try to professionalize junior kabaddi. And by junior, I don't mean under 16, I mean under 23, where you're trying to then take that step into the professional setup as well. And just by virtue of paying players, even in say a Yuva Kabaddi series, you allow them the opportunity to earn a livelihood through sport at the under 23 category, and therefore you're okay and your parents are okay for you to go spend a month, 2 months away from home with a sporting team, and then that might translate into scouts picking you up. For instance, this time in the professional league, you've got 41 new young player category players coming through, out of which I think 29 or 30 players have come from that YKS series. So it tells you that you just need a platform. Once you give the youngsters a platform, they use it to their advantage.
And probably slightly longer season, not just in terms of one particular league, but a slightly longer season that keeps them occupied for about 7 or 8 months in a year, including national duty if you make the cut.
Absolutely, that's a great point. As you see, a great point on the run from Sachin Tawar as well. That is the key. And we've got India taking on the Republic of Korea. Remember, in this men's team final, that's across on Sony Sports 10-1 and Sony Live. They're playing consistently through the year. Because you think about cricket, Raman, apart from the big league, the extravaganza of the IPL, you don't have too much else through the year that is going to keep players not busy. They're playing through the year. They've got bilateral series, they've got World Cups, they've got triangular series, they've got test matches. When it comes to Kabaddi, there isn't much apart from an Asian Games or a multi-sport event. As you see, Aslam corner the two men. That is a proper game of Kabaddi.
He's got a touch on the Japanese captain, Gary Okono. He was thinking of another one as well. He said, okay, Farhan, let me finish things off.
You got Saurav Ghoshal coming away at 2:30 p.m. as well. Versus from Malaysia. But yeah, therefore, when you don't have all of that, Kabaddi has a league and then not bilaterals and all the rest. So you're right. Therefore, when suddenly a Yuva series sprouts up, you've got 10 months of busy Kabaddi for these youngsters, but the senior players need it too. So this is where I think you'll start to see an evolution of state-run leagues. I know there's a Tamil Nadu one coming up. There's a Rajasthan league coming up soon enough as well that are sanctioned. And that's the key as well, having sanctioned leagues.
Meanwhile, we've had another all-out. Keep counting. How many? 6 in the first, and how many now?
You'll have to have a separate stat man just to count the all-outs in this contest. And a substitution coming in as well. Daiki Aratake comes in. Nice to see Japan test everyone out. It's a wonderful opportunity to get that 20 minutes of fame up against the absolute superstars. And there are millions that watch these superstars day in and day out. There's a reason why Kabaddi has turned into the second most watched sport in the country. 40 minutes, unbelievable athleticism, high-octane entertainment.
It's colourful as well. You look at the colour on the court, you look at the razzmatazz that's been added to it, the fanciness. And meanwhile, a timeout being called by the Japanese coach, and quite understandably.
Also, Raman, amazing stat, more than 40% of viewership comes from women when it comes to Kabaddi. And that's such an encouraging sign. I know my wife is someone that actually loves watching Kabaddi as well, and you don't find that with too many other sports from a spectator perspective, and that's always a very positive sign.
It's got to appeal to people. It's got to be easy to understand, fun to watch, and within a stipulated time frame. It gets over quickly. You get a result.
You get a result. You know, there are some games of football where I sit there for 90 minutes and I go, okay, we've sat here for 90 minutes. There's a 0-0. Could have done a bit more with my 90 minutes of time. I'm a big football fan, but I know what you mean. You get a result guaranteed here, and a thrilling one too in a very short span of time. And I compare kabaddi actually to basketball and the NBA. It's end to end. Every 20 seconds, 30 seconds, you have a high point, and that is with the introduction of this 30-second raid clock, the do or die raid, the super raids, the super tackles. All these little innovations that have been added to the game have made such a difference in the pace of play. I think back to the Asian Games in 1990 and later, we had scores of 6-7, 7-8 versus Pakistan, and those tend to be drab affairs. You don't get that anymore.
Well, but I'll never forget the final of 2014 because it is Charu and me. We were doing commentary together for that final, and I still remember we both had our hearts in our mouths in the final 30 seconds and how that panned out, and how India won gold.
Yeah, there's just been some magical moments. And legendary players as well. The likes of Anup Kumar, Rakesh Kumar, Manjeet Chillar. I mean, the list goes on. Such an illustrious sport, richly steeped in our history. And I hope it's steeped in these guys' history. Look at that moment as well. To keep Akash Shinde down, it takes an army of men. Well done, Japan.
11 minutes still left in this contest, but has he got a touch here? He seems to be claiming one. There's Itsuki Manita. Is that one or two? She's got one. For a moment, he was a little excited.
A sliding toe touch. We just spoke about Anup Kumar. He was the toe touch Badshah. And he'll be pretty happy to watch that. Great technique. I like that. Just moments that are bright. Look at that. Japan had 20 points on the board. That's a positive. Bangladesh could only manage 18 versus India. Japan now have 20. And I think that's the sort of positives you should take away from an encounter. Set mini milestones for yourself.
Wonder what milestones India set for themselves coming into this match. Of course, they've tested their bench strength, but is there something else that you can look to work towards?
Don't get injured. I think that's probably the main milestone from this one.
Well, I remember that you talked about Anup Kumar, and I remember that injury that he sustained back in the previous edition. And you remember that bleeding head, heavily bandaged, although that was a sight you'd like to forget very quickly.
Yeah, it's a physical sport. Let's not forget that. When you see it played at an intense level, and you'll see that in the India versus Iran encounter as well, these guys go for broke. I mean, it's the sort of injuries you get in kabaddi are not forgiving. They can end careers pretty quickly, but they put their bodies on the line to entertain us, to win medals for their countries. There you go. That is a nice look at the officials. The button she just pressed was actually to kickstart the next raid, and that's a 30-second clock that gets activated.
He's been the most successful raider for Japan today. Itsuki Manita. He's been quick as well, but this time around gets taken down. And that's the end of the road for him temporarily. Another point for India, 43-21. Just looking at what's happened in Group B, because you're looking at making it to the semi-finals. You're looking at competition that you'll get most probably Pakistan in the semis. But in that Group B, we had Iran, Pakistan, Malaysia, and Korea. I'll come to that in a moment. Keep an eye out on what's happening in archery. Take a look at what's happening here.
India have won gold. Yet another gold from our archers. It's the third gold of today. One from archery, one from squash, and a second from our archers. This time the men doing exactly what the women did. Gold number 21, Raman.
Remember, to 16, Jakarta and Palembang. We've gone 5 over. We're still hoping for more, but this is very good work against the Koreans. It's that team of Ojas Deotale, Abhishek Verma, and Prathamesh Jaukar who've done India proud.
And the men on the left from Kabaddi should draw a lot of inspiration from these young boys. Look at those lovely smiles. What a moment for those three men in the men's compound team. A gold against Korea. Doesn't get better than that in the world of archery, and the coach deserves a lot of credit as well. He's done such a fabulous job with the entire squad. And speaking about the men on the left, they will need to dig deep, because for them it's a bit of redemption needed, Raman. 2018 really hurt. It hurt the entire Kabaddi fraternity, and it should have. And it should. It's a wake-up call, much needed.
And of course, confirmation on your screen about gold in archery, the compound men's team event. But Sohail, the reason why I raised the point about Group D is, Korea amongst the medals the previous edition and what's happened to them this time around. They've played 3, haven't won a single match in the group stage, lost all 3. That's the disappointment.
To me, it is the biggest disappointment. You're absolutely right. You have names like Jankun Lee, Dongyeon Lee. Now that they've departed, I expected them to actually be the torchbearers. Tai Dio Kyom, Jung Chang Ko. They were really good guys in amongst that squad. As we see the tally continue to rise, 21 goals for India. Use the hashtag cheer for India and send in your wishes to the team. Right here at the home of the Asian Games on the Sony Sports Network. And guess what? Saurav Ghoshal is also going to be going for gold at 2:30 p.m. in the men's singles final. He's already got 1 gold in the team event.
That's exactly what I was about to say. He'd like to add the 2nd goal in his kitty in this edition of the Asian Games. What a superlative. The kind of yeoman service that he's done to men's squash in the country has been absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, totally is. And speaking of that kind of service, that's what we expected, as you said, from the Koreans. I just think, to me, they are the biggest disappointment. And I hope that Korea invests a bit in Kabaddi, because the interest is already there. We heard actually from one of the Korean girls as we watch another all out, and the smiles continue. Yeah, Sunil Kumar. A little cheeky smile from him as well. I was hearing from one of the Korean girls, Raman. She was actually a former Miss Korea, and she's now part of the Kabaddi squad. And she said, I'm here. I don't want to be known for what I did in the past. I don't want to be known as a Miss Korea contestant. I want to be known as a Kabaddi player. And I want people to remember me and think of me now as a Kabaddi player. I want to bring awareness to our Kabaddi team, and I want the government to support us. So, and she herself said, look, I think these are disappointing results for us. We expected more. But I think these are the sort of stories that inspire you and think, you know what? Look at the kind of people that are coming in. She actually went and did her army service for 2 years as well. So it's really encouraging to see that there's a lot of interest. She said, Kabaddi is not new to Koreans. And to me, that actually disappointed me more, saying that there's interest, but they're not following through on it. So I hope that...
बस नीरज रुक जा आज के लिए इतना काफी है
सर जी जब पसीना नहीं रुकता तो मैं क्यों रुकूं
New Limca Sports with Real Lemons Glucose.
That's the disappointment for Korea. Remember, silver medalists in 2018. You look at the loss to Malaysia, 38-40. They went down that opening game that they played. Then lost to Pakistan, 21-56. And then went down to Iran as well. You look at what's happened to Korea. They went down against Thailand, against India as well. It was a 23-56 loss, and went to Chinese Taipei as well. In the women's draw, 24-35. They lost to the Chinese Taipei side as well.
Yeah, that's why for me, disappointing. And big losses to Thailand by 20 points. That's not small.
On the raid there, the captain of this Japanese side, Gairo Kono, gets a touch, gets that 1 bonus.
Oh, he's floored him. He's absolutely floored him. And nice to see the apology coming from Aslam Inamdar. You've just got a little glimpse of what top-notch Kabaddi is all about. Whoa! Sweet chin music from Aslam Inamdar.
Yeah, somebody's got to remind the Japanese he's on a kabaddi court. He's not fighting Muay Thai.
Yeah, exactly. It's a tough one. That is a reminder of the quality that you will get from these Indian boys if they go full tilt. Nitin Rawal, soft tackle, maybe a little kind on them after what just happened. But that is a great indication of what you're going to see when India take on Iran. Because if there was an Iranian right corner, he would probably bend under it or actually go for the other ankle and dive on it. That's the quality of the Iranian defense. So while we got a little reminder of Aslam Inamdar's prowess as a raider, that intensity, you'll see it for 40 minutes in the finale.
For the moment, just 3 minutes remain in this match. 28 points the difference between the two sides. It's one-way traffic for sure. Kono gets a touch, and has he got two there? Just one, so that's well done. A good raid from the Japanese captain, Kono.
And a rare moment of glory for the Japanese captain. Slots back into that right cover region. Sunil Kumar raiding. You don't say that very often. The vice captain of Team India. He is the captain of the most recent title-winning championship team in the league in India as well. Crosses the back line and heads back. A slightly nervy raid, even for Sunil Kumar. And a smile to Sachin Tawar as well. I think Sachin Tawar trying to give him a few tips. Slots into that right cover region. More familiar territory for Sunil. The pursuit attempted, and he gets him. Good move. Gets a raid point. Why not? Pins Yutin Kawate with that.
Look at how quickly the left cover's trying to come across. Just waiting for Kono to overcommit, go past the back line, maybe go for the bonus, and that's the moment he's going to overcommit. That's when the left cover swoops in.
And that is the Parvesh-Sunil combination. Parvesh Banswal likes to play a high line defense. Sunil Kumar was waiting for the ankle hold. If Sunil even went for it or sniffed it, Parvesh would be there in a flash.
That's coordination for you. That's what you'd want, you know, in terms of combining as a chain. More importantly, when you look at the other side, you're looking at the corner trying to draw the raider deep. You want the cover to team up with you.
Yeah, totally do. It's about that commitment and communication. The name itself, Kaipidi, that's where it originates from. And Kaipidi in Tamil means holding hands. It's all about that understanding the bond in those chains. You see that chain on the left corner. You see that chain in the center between Aslam Inamdar and Parvesh Banswal. And then you see the ankle hold and he slips away from it. Well done, Japan. Taking a few smiles away at the back end of this contest, Hiroto Chiba.
He slipped out of the grip of Parvesh, so that's something that he's going to be really happy about.
Hey, mom and dad, put that together. That's my highlight reel from this encounter.
Parvesh carried him off a couple of times, remember, off court, past the ball, past the lobby line. But this time around, he's got the better of him.
Meanwhile, Sunil Kumar, I think, turns to the coach and say, hey guys, I've got 3 raid points. Check me out. Put me in the lineup. Loving it. Absolutely loving it. But one and done. There it is. Final confirmation. Sunil Kumar gives the captain a point. A little nice gesture from captain to vice captain. And that is the end of that. India coast unbeaten into the semi-finals. Coach Bhaskaran should be a pretty happy man. He knows the bigger tests await. Lovely moments though for the Japanese contenders, the likes of Shimokawa, who spent a lot of time rubbing shoulders with some of the best in the business. But a wonderful opportunity for that squad to really see where they stand in the world of Kabaddi versus the stars from India. That's confirmation, 56-30.
India finished the group stage unbeaten.